said, look, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning because I'd been at some party or something, you know, for the theatre show I was doing. They said, you would really make our day if you came back to the police station and met the Sarge. I followed them back to the police station and I sat there having a cup of tea with all these police. It was the loveliest night. And then at about 3 o'clock in the morning, these 2 young boys were brought in and they'd been holding up a garage, and they put me in with these 2 boys and they recognised me, and they made me pretend to be Chrissy and say, don't do it, love, you know, look at me. And these boys would have been all of, you know, 15, 16. So I was still in the police station till about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Always, one of the things I've always said about you, you'll be in anything from pitch and toss to manslaughter. You're a bit like me. Yeah, I'll come. Yes, why not? Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah, well, you've got to. Life's, you know, an adventure.
Exactly. I do agree with you.
Look at Ian Smith. Look how young he is.
Yes, goodness
when you think
me.
of him now in Neighbours.
And how trim, by comparison.
Beautifully trim, isn't he?
He, of course, was script editor as well in those days.
Yes. Yeah, he had a lot to do with what we were all doing.
He certainly did.
Who's that actor?
I can't remember.
Because it actually looks like the solicitor again.
No, you know, it's not. Different actor.
What were you doing?
Haven't you got eyes in your head? Who are you talking to? Oh, miss.
Oh, she's a villain, isn't she? She's a villain in real life, old Sheila, too. Goodness me.
She lived every minute.
She used to sometimes object to some things that Grundy's did, and she'd scream and carry on and holler on the set, and, you know, I'm going to ring them up, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and da-da-da-da. And she'd get into the green room, and she'd pick up the phone, and she'd ring Grundy's, and they'd answer, and she'd say, Val Lehman wants to talk to you.
Wordsworth, the condition of your parole states that you are to retire in a nursing home. That's it.
Well, you can tell the parole board to stick it because I'm not...
Oh, she's wonderful.
Oh, take me to get a bucket and mop, will you, love? I've got to clean up all this rotten mess.
Oh. Erika.
Dadison here.
Wordsworth, I was under the impression she was at death's door.
No, she's not going to get a parole, you see. That's that.
With your tea tray, she informed me she is now not going to the nursing home.
What?
Yes. And after seeing her, I couldn't agree more. That woman is as fit as I am.
You know, that was a real character. Her character was based on a real character, too.
Was it really?
And the real character's name was very, very similar. Obviously, I can't tell you what it is. But they had interviewed her at great length, and she really had been a shearer's cook, and she was put in prison and accused of killing 6 of them, poisoning them. And on the deathbed, this man confessed, and she was not guilty at all. And they used the story for Sheila, and they kept mentioning it. They never ever sent her photographs, they never sent her autographs, and she actually rang a radio station, of which I was giving an interview once in Sydney. And I rang her back and spoke to her and sent photographs and autographs and things. I was disappointed that they had sort of used up her story, but they hadn't bothered to follow up. Her social worker was very concerned too, because they had to stop mention of the murder that she had been accused of, because it was upsetting her so much, so that they had to tell the writers not to use it anymore.
Oh. I hear about my sister and everyththing. See, we told you everything would be okay. Yeah.
They did an enormous amount of research before they started on the scripts, and that's one thing I was of great value to us.
And it was great to be taken out to Fairley Prison and Pentridge, wasn't it?
Yeah. Do you remember the prison governor out there? Well, she wasn't the governor; she was the deputy governor. Remember Sheila digging me in the ribs saying, "Ask about the lesbian thing. Ask about the lesbian thing." Turns out that she'd been living with the governor for years and years, because she said there's nothing like that happens in this prison.
Who had been living with her?
The deputy governor had been living with the governor, who was another lady for something like 12 years. They were lesbians.
I don't know where she digs all this up.
And we weren't allowed to speak to any of the prisoners, which was really annoying. Yeah, except to the one that served us afternoon tea in the deputy governor's office, who was her sort of like pet, I think.
Mama, what's it, from Chicago? What is it?
I played her.
You have
I
too,
played Mama Morton
yes.
twice.
Mama
yes.
Morton.
And you and I, well, I mean, you had huge success doing the play Steaming, touring nationally.
Yes.
And I've just directed the little tiny Winnie production of it and played Mrs. Meadow.
Oh, you would have been sensational. I wish I could have seen it.
Yes, lovely, lovely role.
You know, I couldn't get an audition for Steaming.
You couldn't?
No. And then Rodney Fisher was in Perth, and he was forced, because he was a theatre man down to the end, and he used to, he was staying with a family who were avid prisoner watchers, and Rodney had auditioned hundreds and hundreds of girls for the part of Josie, and I came up on the screen, and he said, "Who's that?" "That's the girl I want to play Josie in Steaming." And he waited to the end, and was looking for the names, and saw that Chrissy was, and all he could remember it was Amanda, da-da-da. And that's what he said to Wilton Morley and Peter, who were the producers. Her name is Amanda somebody, Amanda da-da-da, because, you know, they go so quick. He missed the Muggleton part. So, and that started me off on, you know, the most wonderful career in theatre. You know, I couldn't even get an audition for Prisoner when it first started. Eventually, I turned up unannounced with a friend who did have an audition, and everyone's name was on a list. And of course, they got to me, and I said, "Amanda Muggleton." They said, "You're not on the list." "What do you mean I'm not on the list? Give me a phone. I've got to phone my agent." "Calm down," she said, "calm down." I said, "Look at me. I've been sitting here for an hour and a half. I'm all made up, dressed to kill. You're telling me I can't go through that door?" Of course, I made such a fuss, she let me go through. End of story. I got the part. Thank you for watching and listening to us going on about old times and old memories.
Isn't it fun?
Fabulous.